But I want to dive right in. So Erin Williamson is my guest today. Erin and I met at a real estate conference last January.
2 years ago. 2 years ago.
Yes, January 2018. A trip that definitely changed my life because she came into my world. And we have lots of things in common, not just real estate, but also an amazing mindset, a love for country music, right? Some roots in Southern California. And what I loved most about Erin and her story was she had me kind of at my house burned down in a matter of minutes, and my mind and the mindset that you got that came out of it is so admirable. And I was so thrilled when you agreed to be on the show with me.
Thank you. It's been quite a journey.
So do you want to start off with something, or do you want me to lead right into the video? We're still getting a few people tuning in, so maybe we'll start the video in a couple of seconds. But you want to tell us a little bit about you, where you are, etc.?
Sure. I'm a realtor in Southern California, and we did lose our home in one of those crazy wildfires about 2.5 years ago. We're still in the process of rebuilding. It's an ongoing, never-ending saga, but we're getting through it. And a lot of people say, you've always had this incredible attitude through the whole thing, and you've lost literally everything. And with me, it's like, we didn't lose everything. It's like we had the opportunity to gain so much more, and it was all perspective from day one. It was how do we get through this, but realizing that even though we physically lost everything that we've ever worked hard for, we didn't really lose anything that really mattered. So we still had each other. Like nobody died, and that to me was just a blessing, not a tragedy.
Yeah, and I think right now we need to hear that because many of us are feeling like we've lost a lot. Yes, many of us have lost people in our lives, but we may have lost our jobs. We may have lost our money. We may have, in theory, lost the ability to do so many things. But, your story and what you
focus on what you didn't lose and what you still have. And, that's what always keeps me going. Everybody's like, how are you so positive every single day? And it's like, well, you have a choice. Every single day you wake up, you have a choice. It's, do I focus on the negative or do I focus on the positive? If I sat around all day and watched the news all day, I would probably
you would not have your hair. You'd be sitting on your couch right now. So
but seriously, it's like you have so many incredible things to be thankful for every single day. And that's what I focus on. And that's what keeps me smiling every day and making light of the whole situation. It's like, yes, we're all in this horrible pandemic right now, and people are losing their lives and people are scared, and I get that. However, do we focus on the negative, or do we say, what do we have in our lives that is good, and how can we make that better?
Yeah. So do you want to start the video?
Sure, anytime you're ready.
Okay.
That'll give a little bit of background of history.
Oh, sure. Yeah, go ahead with the background.
Me a little bit more. Go for it.
Okay, hold on. Bear with me, everybody.
We didn't really lose anything. If we were going to lose something, I would say we lost a structure, but we didn't lose what's in our hearts, and we didn't lose ourselves. We didn't lose our family. We didn't lose our pets. We didn't lose our friends. We didn't lose anything that really, really matters at the end of the day. Last weekend I had the opportunity to be in Vegas with many of my friends, and we ended up losing one of our friends. One of our dear friends' husbands didn't make it home, and that tore me up. I couldn't get out of bed for 3 days, and then something like this happens. This is easy. This is nothing compared to what that was. This isn't a tragedy. That was a tragedy. This is just an opportunity to rebuild and make something good.
I came in the house and I grabbed any and all the picture frames I could possibly see, and then got stuff in the car. And by the time I was going to go back in the house to get something else, it was black smoke. I couldn't breathe, and it was time to go. And I locked the house up and left the gate open, and I was on my way. It's just stuff. You know, we have memories, but, you know, it's tough.
Really fantastic. How
Feels
how
like
does that
yesterday.
make you, right? How does that make you feel when you see that?
Grateful, you know, just grateful for everything that we've been through from that point forward. That was literally the day after the fire. That was coming to the house for the very first time. And
Sorry,
being
hold
able
on.
to see it for
Hold on.
ourselves. What are you doing?
Sorry. Too many screens. Sorry, say it again. I'm sorry.
No, that was just, it makes me feel grateful. It was coming back to the house and seeing everything for the very first time, and just being grateful that we, you know, nobody passed away. Because that's something that you can't get back. And when I'm referring to being in Vegas the week before, that was with the massacre that happened at Mandalay Bay, where I did lose a friend. And, you know, one of our very dear friends' husbands didn't make it home. And I think how easily that could have been. It could have been any one of us. And, you know, it puts everything into perspective. That to me was a tragedy. This was just an opportunity to rebuild, because at the end of the day, nobody passed away. Nobody died. And yeah, it's a huge inconvenience. Don't get me wrong. It's been nothing but an uphill journey from there. But we've had the most incredible people have come into our lives because our house burned down, that I would never trade those relationships to get our stuff back. And you look at, it's like everything that defined us as successful people up to that point. You know, we had it all. We had everything that anybody strives to have, and it was gone in a matter of minutes. But that's not what defined us. That's not who we were. That's not who we are. And that was just the stuff. So put all the stuff beside you and realize what you do have in your life. You still have your friends, you have your family, you have, you know, your hearts and what's in your soul, and why were you put on this earth in the first place? Like, what is your purpose? And it really made me dive deep and say, okay, if that is what God's plan was for me, what is my big purpose on earth? Like, what am I here for? And I believe with all my heart that we're here to help other people. And if I can help people be inspired by overcoming any kind of obstacle, I mean, we're in a huge obstacle right now. It's like, but what can we do to band together to get through this? And what's really important, and how we're going to come out of it, and what does the future look like? And we all have this wonderful thing called hope. And if we keep focusing on that hope, then we're all going to get through this just fine. So when I say, you know, we may have lost all of our physical belongings, but we were able to have the most incredible people come into our lives, and I would never trade them to get our stuff back. And it's those people that restored my faith in humanity. It was perfect strangers that watched that video on the news, that reached out to our family and just said, wow, you made me think about my problems differently. You made me realize that even though I've got XYZ happening in my life, it's okay. Like, I'm still here, and I still have the ability to breathe and laugh and love on my family or one another and my friends, and, you know, regardless of what you have.
Yeah. One of the stories, I mean, just watching that video, it like brings tears to my eyes. But one of the stories that I've always loved is the one where you went to pick up your sons. You have 3 kids, right?
Yes, I have 3 boys.
3, okay. And you get this alert. Why don't you share the story about the alert, how you realized what was going on, and then what you told the boys once you picked them up from school and you were about to bring them to your friend's house?
Okay, so, well, the alert that I received was not the emergency alert that everybody thinks that I received. What I got was a text message on my cell phone. I literally just got out of the shower. I mean, I was drying my hair, and I was in the process of going through a couple different text messages as I'm, you know, drying my hair with one hand and texting with the other and multitasking like I always do. And a third message comes in, and all it said was fire. And it was from a girlfriend of mine. And I'm like, fire? What are you talking about? Like, I just got home. I just got back from this hike. So I go in my backyard and, you know, I heard this crazy sound. As soon as I opened my back door, I heard boom, 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 boom. And I'm like, what in the world is that? Like, it sounds like a drum going on behind my house. So I start walking across my yard, and we live up on this point. So I'm walking across the yard, and this helicopter like comes up from below, and I'm like locking eyes with this pilot. I'm like, what is going on? And I'm like, I don't smell smoke at this point, but I see the direction where the helicopter goes. And so my eyes kind of go off into the distance. And then I see this giant fireball literally coming at me. And it's so windy. You know, we have these things called Santa Ana winds here in Southern California. That winds just, they're crazy. We get these 100-mile-an-hour winds that kind of come out of nowhere. And so I knew, I just knew. I thought, oh my gosh, our house is going to burn down. Like I felt it with everything that I had. I texted my husband. I said, huge fire, I'm leaving. And I literally had to, I'm not even really dressed at this point. Like, if I'm being honest, I don't have that many clothes on. And I like run back in the house, and I'm like, what do I need to do right now? Like, what do I need right now? I'm like, pants. Pants is good. My dogs, you know, a shirt, you know, my car keys, my cell phone. I'm like, that's all I had with me. But I got my dogs. Thank God I was home to be able to get my dogs. And, you know, we got in the car, and I went straight to my son's school. And I get there, and there's like 4 people standing, you know, the administration standing outside looking up toward in the location of our house. And there's this giant smoke plume coming. And they see me, and they see, you know, I'm obviously there to pick up my son. And they're just like, okay, one of them's like, I'll be right back, Mrs. Williamson. And I pick up my little boy, and he comes out, and he's like, Mommy, why are you here so early? And I'm like, well, you're going to understand in a minute. And we come outside, and we look over, and there's this giant smoke plume. And he says, is our house going to burn down today? I said, chances are good. And he's like, you know, he's this huge elf on the shelf collector. And he said, did you save my elves? Well, before I left, I left, and my husband ran into the house. Like, we were literally passing each other on the street. And he ran back into the house, and I called him, and, you know, I'm like, save the elves. And he's like, I got the elves. And he's praying. He's got as many elves as he can get. So we got the elves. I said, Dad got the elves. I'm like, I'm hoping, right? I hope he got the elves. And he's like, okay. He goes, well, then can we have orange chicken for lunch? I'm like, honey, we can have anything you want. So, you know, at that point, I had picked up my other 2 boys. I've got 3 boys, 2 dogs, and my son's friend in the car. So there's all of us and 2 dogs. And I dropped the dogs off at a friend's house, and, you know, I stopped into Panda Express because my son's like, Mom, don't forget, you promised orange chicken. So I'm like, at Panda Express, my phone is blowing up. Like, I've got probably 400 text messages at that. Like, they are coming in so fast, I can't even read them anymore. And I know our house is on fire. Like, I know our house is on fire. Because they're all saying, I'm so sorry, or oh my God, like, everybody I know has got to be watching the news. So my girlfriend calls me, and I answered the phone, and she says, oh my God, your house is on fire. And I said, I know, and I'm ordering orange chicken, and everything's going to be just fine. And she's like, you're ordering orange chicken? Did you just say that out loud? And I'm just like, yeah, and I'm okay. And she's like, okay, you got this. So my girlfriend calls, and she says, you know, come to my house. There's a key under the mat. There's food in the fridge. There's a TV. Like, I have everything you need. My house is safe. Come over to my house. So I've got everybody in the car, and I'm walking to the door, and we're about to go inside. And I turn around to the boys, and I say, guys, I'm going to open this door, and we're going to go watch TV. And there's 100% chance our house is going to be on fire. I said, but do you know what that means? And they're just staring at me with these glassy eyes. And they're like, what, Mom? I'm like, well, it means you get a new computer, and you get a new computer, and you get a new computer. And they're like, what? I'm like, and you're getting bigger rooms and your own bathrooms, and we're getting a pool. They're like, we're getting a pool? I'm like, we want our house to burn. I'm like, because I know, like, we have insurance. We're going to be okay. But what a great excuse to get a pool. I could sell that one to my husband. And they're like, we're getting a pool. And so I turn on the TV, and instead of crying, like, my kids are jumping up and down, and they're like, this is so awesome. We're getting new computers. And I'm like, you guys, it's all perspective. You know, it's like, how do you turn this around? Like, I could sit there and cry my eyes out and make this all doom and gloom and, oh, boo, poor me, we just lost everything. Or, you know what? We're going to find a way to make our lives better. This is an opportunity. This is not just an obstacle, but this is an opportunity to change up what we have. Let's just do it differently. We'll figure it out. We'll figure out a way. Like, I'm going to get you that pole, because if you have will, there is always a way.
Yeah.
And so my husband calls, and I've got the kids dancing around in the background. My husband calls and he's like, oh my God, the house is on fire. It's on all of the news stations. And I'm like, then he stops. He's like, are you having a party? I'm like, huh? We're getting a pool. And he was just like, oh my God. I'm like, don't ruin this. Don't ruin this. And he's like, okay. He goes, it sounds like you've got this under control. So, 2.5 years later, and again, we're still in the process of rebuilding and et cetera, but I'm telling you, we got the pool dug. It's coming. It's coming. It's not there yet, but give me about 3 more months and we're going to get that pool.
Perfect timing for the summer. But I mean, every time you tell that story, I've probably heard that story a handful of times now, and it's just like the emotion, I couldn't even imagine feeling what you were feeling. And then you just have to turn it around for these kids. And, how relevant for today with parents who are trying to explain to their kids, like, you won't get your prom, you won't get to go back to school for a while, you won't get, but we have each other in our home.
That's right. Let's focus on what you will get and what you have. And, kids were so great through this whole thing. And I knew I had 3 little sets of eyes watching me. Every single move that I make is shaping these kids' lives. So again, it's a choice. I can choose to fall apart, or I can choose to rise above. And let's just rise above, and let's figure out how to make this better for all of us. And I say that, obviously not everybody's going to come out of this pandemic with a pool. And I didn't know I was going to come out of this situation with a pool. But I knew that I needed to change the focus off of this to that, and let's make something good. Let's figure out how to do it, because I know that there's a will, there's a way, and we're going to get there. We're going to somehow get a pool, whether it be renting a house with a pool or whatever it's going to be. We're going to get a pool. So we ended up, we rented a house with a pool, and we're going to build a pool.
That's awesome.
But they're excited, and now the kids get to be part of this building process, and they want to come help, and they want to come help dig the hole, and they want to come help sweep up the mess at the end of the day and clear out the construction, mess, and go to the junkyard with Dad and be a part of building something back.
Right.
Just, that's important too, is to let them be a part of building their future.
Now, this didn't just come to you like right away. Like, I'm imagining you had to build up a mindset to think this way. So as we're thinking about, what you dealt with then, and yes, you, at the time, I don't remember what the time frame was. Was your fire one of the first ones in the area, in the state? And then we slowly saw them popping up all over the state within months.
Sort of. I mean, this is just an ongoing thing.
Right, you're right. But at the time,
this is just California fire season. So our fire season usually starts in September, and it goes through the end of the year. It happens when the Santa Ana winds come. But at the time of this year of 2017, ours was the first fire, or the second fire really, in Orange County. So we're called Canyon Fire 2. Canyon Fire 1 happened a week before, and the difference was between Canyon Fire 1 and Canyon Fire 2 is Canyon Fire 1 didn't have the Santa Ana winds involved. So that was more containable, easy to overcome, put it out, etc. So there was minimal structures lost in that one. And even in Canyon Fire 2, in the big picture of things, I think we've only lost 16 homes. I could be wrong on that number, but I think there was only 16 homes lost. But if you put that in perspective, okay, so a week later, up in Santa Clara, Santa Rosa, I'm sorry, I got my Santas mixed up.
It's okay.
There was a huge fire that took out over 6,000 structures, 6,000 families. Lost their homes. Some of them lost their lives. And what helped me is that everybody wanted to help us, and I wasn't okay with accepting help. I'm like, I'm a really good giver, but I'm not a very good receiver, and it's something that I've really been working on, because you can't be a good giver without being a good receiver. And everybody wanted to help us, and I turned everybody away. And everybody said, let me do this for you. Let me do that for you. Let me give you this. Let me give you that. I'm like, no. Like, we have everything that we need. And I realized, I didn't realize this right away. My girlfriend, she says to me, and I'll be honest, she says, you're kind of being an asshole. What? And she's like, yeah. He's like, you're being an asshole. She goes, everybody's trying to help you and you're turning them all away. And she goes, do you understand what you're doing? You're taking away their joy. I was like, oh my God, I never thought about it that way. And then I was like, oh my gosh, if I tried to help one of my friends that lost everything and they told me, no, I'm good, I would think, okay, you're just being a jerk. Why would you not let me help you? And she's like, don't you understand that when somebody helps you, it makes them feel better about themselves? Mm-hmm. And it hit me like a ton of bricks. I'm like, oh my gosh, you're right. It's like, I know this. The only way to feel better about your own situation is to help somebody that's worse off than you are. Mm-hmm. And so it's kind of like my own therapy was that I channeled all of the energy that I had of everything people were trying to do with me. And I took that forward, and we took it up to Northern California, where there was real tragedy and real devastation, where entire communities were lost.
Yeah.
And so we ended up taking donations. I just wanted everybody that was willing to help me. We set up a donation outlet at my office, and were able to fill up a 18-wheeler truck of supplies and drive that up to the fire area. And we flew up there, and we got to meet some people that had lost their homes, and we were able to really help make a difference in these communities. And I was able to speak with them and help counsel them and help them get through it. I was a week ahead of them. I was like, I've already read the talk. I know what's coming next. Yeah. And I've made some lifelong friends just from being able to help those fire victims.
Yeah.
I like to call them fire survivors, It's like,
yes, that's
I'm a fire victim. I'm a fire survivor.
Yeah. And for, in today's world, we, as long as we're all safe, like, we are survivors of this, like, beyond belief what has happened, right? Just as unimaginable as losing your home within a matter of minutes, and then with your home being the poster house of all of the news, all the different broadcasts and newspapers, and the book that you've got right behind you, that's your book. I don't know if you want to show it, but from that experience, you said, I've got to put this out there. I've got to tell my story. And you told me today that you wrote it within about 2 weeks. And I think
it just kind of all flowed out of me at the same time. And, it's like, I wrote the book, and I'll show you the photo. This is the cover of this was our home. And this was on the front page of every newspaper. Like, it was crazy. This went international. I had friends from other countries like, your home's on the cover of our newspaper. I'm like, seriously? Like, this is, but I wanted to write a story about overcoming obstacles. And it's crazy because I wrote the book for realtors. I actually wrote it for realtors. Because let's face it, like, this business is hard. Like, we're facing obstacles every single day. And I'm the least likely, if you look at me as a whole, it's like, oh yeah, you're in front of people now and you speak to big crowds and all that. But I wasn't always that way. I got into this real estate business being told that I'm never going to succeed, that I'm never going to make it in this career, that I should quit. And those are the things I talk about in the book. It's like all of the obstacles in my own personal life, and it's been nothing but obstacles all the way along the way. But to still have this attitude, it's like, come on, guys, if I can do it, anybody can do it. And see life differently. Just see things a little bit differently. I used to have this frame picture in my house before it burned, and I'd like to get another one. but it said happiness is a choice. And that was one of the favorite things I had in my house, was just a little plaque that said happiness is a choice. And it just, I gotta get me one. I gotta get another one of those.
Yeah, definitely. And how is what's going on now? I mean, now looking back at what you went through, how you rebuilt, the opportunities that came to you then, like, I can only imagine what has come and what will come to you because of what's going on now, because you've already started laying the groundwork for coaching, for presenting, for, you know, like, we all have stories that we're telling and silver linings that we're all experiencing right now. And you've had that in a way that many of us, you know, thankfully have not, right? So you've got a totally different lens compared to a lot of our listeners, right? Like, we're like, we live in a house, like, I ran away from New York, I'm in a beautiful house by the beach, like, you know, I put myself into that position, but I haven't lost anything, right? If anything, I gained like some amazing beach time, right, in the cold weather, but still. So what do you, how has this been affecting you?
Are you referring to how is the whole pandemic?
Yes.
Okay.
With everybody around us claiming I'm losing a lot of things.
Yeah.
The ability to work, or a loved one, or, like I said, their money.
Right. Yeah.
Kids.
I mean, I feel for them. I do. I get it. You know, it's like we're all in a different situation than we've ever been before. But it's like, you know, come on, guys. It's like, really, at the end of the day, unless you've lost a loved one, that's because that is a whole nother level, right, for me. But unless you've lost life, what have you really lost? Because everything that's out there, it's like, it's perspective. It's like, you can rebuild. You can get another job. You can go find food at a food bank if that's what you need to do. Like, there's resources out there for everything, but some people just want to have their pity party.
Yeah.
Want to have their pity party. Poor me. And that's what some people do. And there's not anything I can say or you can say that's going to change their mind, but I can just let them know that there is another side of the coin. You know, there is another way of looking at things, and you don't have to feel sorry for yourself. But as soon as you realize you start helping someone that's worse off than you start looking at your own perspective or your own situation differently. Like, that is the number one way to get yourself out of a bad mood or out of a funk, or to stop feeling sorry for yourself, is to start helping somebody else that is in a worse situation than you are. And it helps me every single time. As I'm not perfect. I catch myself sometimes, I'm like, this sucks, right? And I'm like, okay, but you know what? Let me go find somebody that sucks more for, and let me see how I can help them. And the next thing I know, we're both smiling together and we're both laughing and we're finding a way. It's like, how do we make this suck less for both of us?
Yeah.
So it's so easy just to reach out. And one of the things I talk about doing in my book, in terms of building your clientele and keeping in touch with people, and something that I've seen my friends now doing back to me, which just, it warms my heart more than anything. I can't tell you how many handwritten notes I've received in the mail these last couple of weeks of people just telling me that they're grateful and what they're grateful for. And that's like my number one lesson of how do you make an impact on somebody's life, and how do you feel better about yourself, is thank somebody for something that they've done for you. Go, if you're bored stiff and you have nothing to do and you want to feel better about yourself, then get out a pen and a piece of paper and start writing letters to people that matter to you and tell them. And then watch what happens once they receive those cards and letters and the phone calls that you get back. I promise you're going to feel better about yourself.
Yeah.
Because you touched somebody's life and they weren't expecting it. And it's like, every time I open one, like, it brings tears, because it's like, you're the reason I'm writing this letter. You inspired me to write this letter, and you're the one I want to thank. And it's just like, oh, that means the world to me. And it makes me know, okay, I'm on the right path here. Like, we're doing something right.
So
that's my big takeaway today. If you want to feel better about yourself, then go write a letter to somebody that matters to you and let them know that they matter, because everybody's in this together. Everybody's feeling like, you know, we're all feeling sorry for ourselves on some level, you know. It does. It's like, God, I got a big birthday this year, and you know, okay.
Yeah. Change of plans, right?
It's just, it's still me. You know, it's just, we're all, you know, it sucks. Like, my son's supposed to be graduating. Okay. But how am I going to make that special? You know, it's like, what are we going to do? It's like, we can't just sit here and feel sorry for ourselves. We've got to come up with creative ways that make other people feel special. And then we start feeling better about our whole situation.
Yeah. So speaking of your kids, what are they doing? What are you doing to encourage them to keep going? You've got, you know, 3 of them, homeschooling them and keeping them entertained, but also sharing their past experience and how, you know, you got to this point with your mindset and with your home and everything, and how they, and like, how are they helping? What are they are they doing anything in particular for other people that some of our viewers who have kids might be able to share with their families? I know that was a roundabout way to ask the question.
You know, I try and be really creative with them. I mean, I know I'm, so like, okay, if I'm going to be the teacher, then we're going to do things my way. And my kids are like, oh, here we go. It's like, you know, so I think it's fun to entertain other people. And so I'll make little videos and stuff like that with my kids that will make other people smile. So, you know, for example, okay, so if I'm the teacher and we're going to do school my way, then we're going to both learn how to do hip hop. And my kids are like, you've got to be kidding me. And so my little one and I, it's like, we're like doing this little hip hop class and we're doing our little things. And then my older one comes around the corner and he's like, oh, for God's sake, like, stop. And I'm like, oh, your class starts at 10:30, my friend. You know, but we'll start doing like creative little things. It's just like, what can we do to make this exciting? Like, let's go outside. Let's go for that bike ride. Let's go take a walk around the neighborhood. Let's do things together as a family. Let's start, you know, I don't know if you saw some of my posts online with my son Jordan is, you know, he's Jordan Ramsey. So he comes on a little cooking show and he's entertaining. It's like, we're always just entertaining each other, but we'll, you know, sometimes I'll video it and I'll share it with my friends, or I'll share it with the people that I know that need a laugh or need a smile. It's like, if you're not laughing every day, you're crying right now. Right. And so how do we bring smiles to people's faces? It's like, you probably see me running around in my hazmat suit to birthday parties and, you know, just different things. It's just like, I'm trying to make people laugh in a time where everybody wants to cry. Yeah. If I can entertain myself, do this whole thing, then it's a win-win. So, you know, it's like just trying to keep everybody smiling in creative ways to share it with their friends. And you know, I've got with all these people off the roads right now, it's a great time for me to teach my middle son how to drive, because, you know, he got screwed out of getting his license too, because his got canceled. So okay, well, that's just more time for us to practice without all these people on the road. So you know, we're just coming up with different ways, and we're doing drive-bys with their friends, and you know, I'm fine with the social distancing parties if there's just a few people here and there, and you know, my kids they've been great through this whole thing. They're like really, really, really well-rounded, you know, thank God, looking forward to the future, knowing this isn't the end of the world. And, you know, we're going to get through this together. Yeah.
Well, fortunately or unfortunately, the lessons they learned from the house has obviously given them a different lens to look through, you know, at
I
all
hope so. Yeah, I think so.
So what getting back to the opportunities that came to you after the house, can you speak to a few of them that kind of maybe caught you off guard, that you were least expecting, and that really put you on this path that you're on right now?
Well, I think the biggest one was my opportunity to meet Bob Burg, which he was my like, this is so crazy. So I've been training realtors for years and years and years and years about how I do business. It's like a referral-based business, and how you touch other people's lives, and how you take care of other people before yourself, and it always comes back around. And so I would always use this Go-Giver book as my business Bible, so to speak. Like, it is my way of saying, if you want to do things the way I do things, or learn how to work the way I work, then read this book first. So I would share the Go-Giver, which is this fantastic book by Bob Burg and David Mann. And it just talks about these 5 principles. And it's, it's always about, doing for others first. And, your compensation is directly in proportion to how many people you touch and how well you touch them. Your value is directly related to how much you give. And, it's these 5 fantastic principles. Mm-hmm. So we lost our home in the fire, and we literally, you could see the picture, like that is what was left of our house the next day. And his bike only survived because it was way off in the corner. Uh-huh. So we literally, nothing survived. Our safe melted. Like, it's crazy. Like, our fireproof safe melted. So
don't buy that.
Going through our stuff, and we hired this company, like basically diggers that are supposed to dig through all of your stuff. And I've got friends and my husband, and everybody's like digging through all of our stuff to see if there's anything at all that could possibly survive this fire. And then can you imagine that the one thing that actually survives a fire was my Go-Giver book? I'm like, oh, this is crazy. Like, this is crazy. And it brought me to my knees. Like, I cried when I saw I'm like, oh, my favorite book survived. Like, but this is a bigger picture here. It's like, you guys, this book survived. I believe everything happens for a reason. I really do, in my heart and soul. And I'm like, gosh, this book. I'm like, I got to talk about this book, but I'm not a public speaker. I don't like being in front of people. I don't know how to do any of this stuff. But I challenged myself, and I had this opportunity to speak on a stage and tell my story in front of 2,500 entrepreneurs from all around the world. My very first time really on stage, in more than just my comfort zone, like, right, my realtors, my friends, mm-hmm. family, and people that know me, like, okay, 2,500 strangers, recorded live on stage. I'm going to tell my story. I'm going to step out of my comfort zone. I'm going to see if I can do this. I'm going to tell the story about my significance of the Go-Giver, the different principles involved in it, and the fact that the book survived when nothing else did. When nothing else in my world survived this fire, this book survived. So I end up telling this whole story in front of these strangers. And at the end, it's like these people came up to me, but this one gal came up to me and she says, I know Bob Burg, and he needs to hear your story. And I'm like, well, Bob Burg's like my John Travolta. Like, he's like that one guy. Like, if you want to meet like one person, you have one person at your dinner table. I'm like, oh, my guy's Bob Burg. Like, this is so cool. Like, he's my A-list guy. And she's like, oh, I know Bob Burg, and he needs to hear your story. Like, she recorded the whole thing. She's sending it to Bob. 25 minutes later, literally, it's like I get a text. Hi, Erin, this is Bob Burg. I believe that I need to hear your story, and we need to get together. He goes, I look forward to, the video being shared with me about, I understood you just made a big keynote speak to all these people. So Bob Burg and I have become really good friends. And I ended up flying to Florida and spending 3 days with him. And so I had already written the book. So Bob Burg's like, you need to write a book. And I'm like, well, the funny part is actually I already wrote a book. And he's like, well, send me your manuscript. And I'm like, oh, no, it's not really a book for anybody to read. It's a book for Bob Burg to read. And he's like, no. He goes, it's just basically I poured out my thoughts. I was going to give it to my realtors. I was going to, like, if people want to know what I'm about, it's like, this is what Erin Williamson's about. This is my heart, soul, my thoughts, everything I've been through from the time I was young to the obstacles I faced to the house burning down. It's not about the fire, it's about the journey. So I sent it to Bob Burg, and he ended up writing the endorsement for my book. Like, how freaking cool is that? Like, amazing. If my house had to burn down to have Bob Burg write the endorsement for the book that I didn't even plan on writing, like, how cool is that?
Yeah, you're like, let's do it again, and
let's do it again.
Yeah,
like, everybody needs their houses to burn down.
Yeah, no, God,
not quite that, but
yeah,
that's kind of my message. It's like, look for the opportunities in those obstacles. Look for the opportunities in those obstacles, because every single obstacle is an opportunity.
Yeah.
You just have to want to find it.
Yeah, and this is a big one right now. So I love hearing your story. I love you. I mean, when we met, you were on a panel, and I said I got to meet her. And we had lunch, we had drinks, and then coincidentally, you were at a fundraiser in Los Angeles where I was just line dancing, right? Because I used to line dance at the bar where the shooting was, which I believe there was at least one victim who survived the Las Vegas shooting as well.
Yes,
Who passed away there. And, now thankfully, I actually was just back in California a couple months ago at this point, and I went to the new bar, like the saloon, which was amazing. Yeah. Right? All those people that I remember, I've been going there since I was a teenager, since I was still in LA. But you happened to be there supporting the fire victims, right? So like within days after the shooting, and that was, I think, November 7th, maybe, then a fire hit like within 2 or 3 days, right?
Yeah, it was almost a year later. From my experience with having the Las Vegas massacre and then the fire the following week, and then a year and a month later to have the borderline shooting and then the fire happen. Yeah, it was crazy. But
there you were helping them, like in the most random of ways, that where so many worlds collided. Our worlds collided, but we didn't know it until I think I don't remember what year that was then. Did we meet before or after that?
We met.
I think we met right after. Did we? Okay. No. I think we met right after.
No, we met after
within
that.
a few weeks. Within a few weeks.
Yeah, we met after that because that happened. I was there in November. And I met you in January.
In January, right. Yeah. So a few months.
And then,
later.
Because you were telling me about the event, and I'm like, I was a speaker at that event.
Yeah.
Like, wait a minute.
No, I wasn't at that part, but I was line dancing on the lawn, and it was great. Great fun to be there with people who, were just trying to make the most of the circumstances. Very sad. Lots of people there wearing their shirts, remembering all those who passed away, both in the fires and in the shooting. And I mean, the gifts and the organizations that have come out of that are endless. And I believe that what's going on right now, it's the same thing. It's on a much, much bigger scale, obviously. But everybody I see helping in so many little ways. And I just want to thank you for giving us your time and your energy and your spirit. And if anybody wants to read the book, I posted the link on Facebook. It's an amazing book. I read it on a flight. I think it was like a 2 or 3 hour flight, and I read it start to finish, the whole thing. So
thank you.
Yeah, and I've given it to a few people, and I know that you've given it out in like some of the women's organizations where we've, seen each other again in all different states again.
Yeah, so I mean, the whole experience, you have to go through something sometimes to realize your purpose. And, I realize that mine might be to help other people live their best lives. And it makes me feel good to see other people being inspired. If my story can help inspire somebody else, then I'm glad that it happened. Yeah. And I'm glad that I can make people smile and realize that, again, happiness is a choice. It really is. And life is so beautiful and something to be grateful for. Yeah. And have each other, it's like everybody comes into your life, I think, for a reason, either to teach you a lesson, to bring you love or beauty or there's that lesson. And not everybody was meant to stay in your life forever, but some people are. And, I'm so grateful to meet you and have this opportunity to share with you once again and see your pretty face. And I'm just honored to know you, and I appreciate you reaching out to me.
You too. Well, thank you. You said it beautifully. So happiness is a choice. Choose happiness today and every day, wherever you are, whether you're essential, non-essential, you're staying home, you've lost loved ones. There's so much to be thankful for. And only we can change our mindset, how we respond to things, because these things are going to come and they're going to go, and the news is just terrible, but it's all about how we react. And that's the one thing we can control, right?
That is exactly, you said it perfectly.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you again. And I'm going to let you go and enjoy your day in your sunny Southern California. It's a rainy day here, but very grateful for this opportunity. Stay safe, stay healthy, stay home and enjoy the day.
All right, my friend.
All right. Thank you, everybody. Have a good one. Bye.
Bye.